are, and allowing all those things to move you forward towards action. LaLa.
Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't want to talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's
speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity. LaLa, speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity.
Every first Monday at 9 p.m. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't want to talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's deep. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak.
I am a life coach. I am a motivational speaker. I am a wife and a mother and a career woman. I'm all those things. Why? Because I can. LaLa Speaks is about owning who you are. LaLa Speaks is about loving who you are. LaLa Speaks is about embracing who you are and allowing all those things to move you forward towards action. LaLa.
Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't want to talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's
speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity. LaLa, speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity.
Every first Monday at 9 p.m. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't want to talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's deep. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak.
I am a life coach. I am a motivational speaker. I am a wife and a mother and a career woman. I'm all those things. Why? Because I can. LaLa Speaks is about owning who you are. LaLa Speaks is about loving who you are. LaLa Speaks is about embracing who you are and allowing all those things to move you forward towards action. LaLa.
Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't want to talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's
speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity. LaLa, speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity.
Every first Monday at 9 p.m. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't wanna talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's deep. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak.
I am a life coach. I am a motivational speaker. I am a wife and a mother and a career woman. I'm all those things. Why? Because I can. LaLa Speaks is about owning who you are. LaLa Speaks is about loving who you are. LaLa Speaks is about embracing who you are and allowing all those things to move you forward towards action.
LaLa.
Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't wanna talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl.
Hey, everyone. Good evening. Hey, what's up? It's Landy with LaLa Speaks. So it has been 2 months, I think. I think the last time that we were together, it was May, first Mondays in May. A lot has happened since then. I took a little break for my birthday in June and then ended up taking a break in July because my family, we bought a new house. And so we were in the midst of closing, moving, and doing all that stuff. So I just decided to take the summer off. And here I am. I missed you guys, though. I missed you guys. I got all the messages. I got all the texts. I got all the phone calls. Where is First Mondays? When are you coming back? What are your next topics? And so I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to see you guys. So welcome back to First Mondays with LaLa. That was a long 2 months. It was a very long 2 months, but we are here. And tonight's topic is going to be a little interesting for me because I was in a little bit of denial when I realized that the summer was over and that our children, some children have already returned to school. But when I realized that our children are returning to school very soon, my kids start next week. Some other kids have already started. I know last Monday, July 31st, some school systems started in Atlanta. And so week after week now, we're going to hear about children starting school and stuff like that. And so for me this year, it's a little bit nerve-wracking for me because I'm still in boxes a little bit. And I am not as organized as I typically am at the top of a school year. So I said, why not do a show about getting organized for school, back to school show, where households are now going to be getting off a summer break, where you can sleep in, go to bed late, you're traveling, you really don't have a real set schedule. The rigor of what's up, Salt Life and Love Ministry. I see you guys in the chat room. Your schedule is just kind of like whatever in the summer months, and you've enjoyed the weeks with your kids, or you sent your kids away. If you're anything like me and my husband, we sent our kids away to their grandparents. So they spent the summer on the beach. Absolutely no structure, zero structure. And so now here comes school, right? Where you gotta, you have to go to bed at your bedtime. You now have to wake up at the crack of dawn, and your day pretty much moves in a way such as, you know, we got to get this done. When we were having kids, we had 3 kids back to back. For those of you who don't know, or who only know me on LaLa Speaks, we have 3 kids back to back, 15 months apart. And I, with my project management hat, I put it on, and I kind of put our household on a schedule. Like who had to do what, who was responsible for what in order to get things done, because we literally went from a household of just me and my husband to a household of 5. And 3 of those 5, they were all small and couldn't do What's up, Edleen? They were all. I'm giving shout outs to the chat room while I'm talking. It's so good to see y'all here. They were all small and couldn't do much for themselves. So what I did was I created a schedule. I had an Excel spreadsheet that was divided by 15-minute intervals. If you knew me back then and you came to my house back then, you saw the spreadsheet. It was divided by 15-minute intervals. Pink was me, blue was my husband, and then we had different colors for the girls as they got a little older. Not when they were newborns, but as they got a little older, we had different colors for them based on what had to be done for them, or as they got older, what they had to do for us all to be able to get out the house on time as a family. Because as you can imagine, going from 2 to 5 in a matter of like 3-4 years is significant. And so from then it kind of led me to creating schedules and creating lists. I'm a list person, because, you know, as my mind gets older, we start to forget things. And so I am a list person. Even as I sit here, I have my list in front of me. So what I ended up doing, and I do it to this day, and I'm going to do it for this coming school year as well, but I have a list of things that need to be done when the girls get home from school, to include their homework, to include chores, to include dinner, to include, you know, baths at night, things that need to be done before they can get, and I have a copy of it here. If you've been to my house, you've seen my list, and you know that every school year I create this list and I post it. I know it looks pretty deep, you know what I'm saying? But and I post it downstairs in the kitchen, and I post it upstairs by their bedrooms. And then I have a morning ritual, what has to be done in the morning. The morning is a lot lighter because they're getting up and trying to get out the house, right? And so we did that list. Now, just because we had the list doesn't mean that we successfully completed the list every night. That's really just a guide of the things that need to happen. And you know that if you didn't get to do that this night, then you have the next night to get it done. But by the end of the week, all these things should have been touched. And the type of activities that we have on them, I mean, is there extracurricular activities, making sure that we get piano practice in, kung fu practice in, reading in, definitely family worship is on that list as well. Making sure that all those things are done. And so this year, I'm still in boxes. We are still in boxes. And so I feel like I'm a little behind the 8 ball. So what I did was I decided, okay, well, we are going to have a show where we can kind of just brainstorm or just talk about ideas or tips that have worked for us throughout the years. And I have a very good friend of mine who is joining me this evening. Her name is Nicole Venters. If you have ever heard of Half Mom, Half Amazing, she is a blogger. She is a mom, a wife, stay at home, homeschooler. I mean, I can go on, but when I see her, when I decided to do this topic, she was the first person that came to mind because she too has 3 little ones and she makes it happen. She has the structure. If you follow her blog, she's very good about organizing tips and, you know, and stuff like that. So I decided to bring her on this show and just have her kind of talk to us about what she does when it comes to organizing her home. And I also we received some questions as well. We're, of course, going to go over the questions as well. But the whole point of this evening is to give you tips on preparing for the upcoming school year. Or even if you don't have children in school, but you just need tips on how to organize your life. We're going to give you those this evening as well. Because one thing I hear loud and clear from people who don't have children is that they are sick and tired of people who do have children thinking that they have all the time in the world because they don't have children. So we're definitely going to be able to give tips for you guys as well. I'm excited about tonight because I feel like I'm going to get some stuff as well for me, the things that I need to just kind of kickstart me in the right direction for this current school year. Because like I said, my girls are starting next week and my list isn't done. And I haven't gone school shopping. I haven't done any of that stuff. And I'm really trying not to stress about it. I know it has to be done, but you know, I'm really trying not to stress about it. So we're going to have a discussion tonight. And when I open up the phone lines, I want you ladies to call, because a lot of you who come to my house, or a lot of you who ask me questions on the life coach side, you have a lot of questions surrounding home management and home organization. And if you're busy as much as I am busy, and if you have all the stuff going on as much as I have going on, then these tips will hopefully be helpful. So without further ado, I have with me Nicole Venters. Nicole, are you there?
Hey, LaLa, I'm here. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to be on this show tonight. And like you said, you might not be prepared, but I'm not prepared either. So we're all learning together.
Yes.
We're all getting it done at the same time. And I'm really excited to be here to share tips and to even learn, because I'm pretty sure people have tips that we might not have thought of as well.
Right.
So it's a learning experience for all of us. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for accepting the invitation to join this evening. I hope you're also on the, if you're on your computer, the YouTube channel, there's a chat room there, and people tend to post questions there as well. I try my best to keep my eye on it, because they have their own conversations going as well in the chat room. So if you're on your computer, Nicole, just go ahead and go to my LaLa Speaks YouTube channel and follow along the discussion as well, as much as you can, because we're pretty much going to be doing our thing here as well. So yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Like I was telling the viewers that, when I thought of organization, you were the absolutely first person to come to mind, because when I follow your blog and when I follow your IG account, it's like you have all these different tools and methods for how you keep your life in check, and how you make sure that your 3 young kids as well, that they aren't stressed and that they have the structure that they need. So tell us a little bit about what you've encountered in your experiences and what you've applied to make sure that life is at least a little stable in a household with 3 boys.
Well, yeah, it's crazy. Having kids is far more complicated than I could have ever thought it would be. I have 3 boys, and they're 8, 6, and 5.
Wow.
My youngest one just turned 5. So this is our first time of everyone going off to school for the first time. So I'm learning, and I'm trying to figure out things as well. And one thing that I found is that when it comes to staying organized, it's about keeping on top of a schedule and a routine. Regardless of, like, if it's summertime or in the fall, you don't have to have as much structure in the summer, but having a routine, a set order or flow of the way things go. So like in the evenings, this is what we do. We bathe, we brush our teeth, we have devotion, we go to bed, we prepare for the next day right before we go to bed. So having a schedule that is flexible, but it's always in place in a way, allows them to kind of stay on top of things, so that me as a mom and my husband, we aren't, constantly scrambling, because the kids kind of know the order. And I think that applies not just to parenthood as well, but if you are a, single person, making sure that you know around what time you need to start preparing yourself in the evening, or around what time you would like to go to bed, so that you get adequate sleep and adequate rest, that you function properly the next day. So I think that's really what it's about, is having an order or a flow that is consistent regardless of the time of year, and that way when you have to transition in the fall and tighten it up, it's not as hard to do, because you already have a flow in place. You know what I mean?
Right. So what I'm hearing you say, even though it's the summer months, you may not necessarily have the rigid plan that you would have during the school year, but you would have some level of routine to keep them consistent with some things during the summer months.
Yes, just so, kind of like you said, you have a to-do list, you have a checklist. You kind of keep on top of that. Like in the evenings, this is what I do. I prepare my work bag, or I prepare this. I get to bed at this time, so that you know that you're not totally getting thrown, to the wind when it's actually time to tighten it up.
Yeah.
And when it comes to kids, it really helps, because they like knowing what comes next. They kind of, thrive off of having a controlled environment, and they like having autonomy. They feel as if, oh, well, I know what's next, so I can go ahead and do that. And it makes them more involved in the family and involved in the routine, and it makes it easier for you as a parent so that you're not, constantly scrambling. They have an idea of what's going to happen next, and that really helps a lot.
That's awesome. So, so just how far I am behind the 8 ball this particular summer, just to give you an example, because what you just said, you want to make sure that you keep them on some level of routine so that when it's time to start pulling them back in, it's not a huge drastic change. Like, for example, for me, like I said, my kids have been away all summer. So they have pretty much played all summer long. On the beach, going to bed whatever time. I mean, just like whatever, right? And that is so black and white to what they typically do. I mean, set 8 o'clock bedtimes is on the regular for the school year. And so like last night, they didn't get to bed until like after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You know what I mean? And one of them, who honestly, if I allow her to sleep all day, she will. But one of them slept until 10:45 this morning. And so I'm like, I spoke to my husband today and he was like, she's still sleeping? I was like, yeah, she's still asleep. He was like, well, next week is school, so we kind of have to start pulling them in. I was like, yeah. So this evening, I told them that they have to get to bed at 8:30. Now that's a 2-hour different than last night, for real. And I'm like, do your best, just lay down and, sing songs or whatever you need to do. But at 8:30, I need you in bed at 8:30 so I can try to get them closer to 8 o'clock. But I think that's a great, that's a great tip in that even though they are still on summer break and they are really not under any type of schedule per se, you still want to keep them within range of what they're doing because they thrive in structure and it really helps them as they transition back into their regular routine.
Yes, definitely. And I totally agree with you that it's not easy. And like you said, we're going to start now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if you have a week to prepare or 2 weeks to prepare, taking advantage of that time to get them geared up, it makes all of the difference. So a lot of us who are running around kind of stressed out, like, oh my gosh, we have no routine, what's going on?
Right.
Starting as early as you can makes a big difference. And I think it really varies, again, by kids' ages.
Yeah.
If you have little ones, you might want to gently introduce the concepts. You have older ones, it might be easier for them to just pick up the routine and go with it. But it doesn't matter how late you start, as long as you get a head start. As long as there's a little bit of leeway and you can just get started on it, I think. So we're all on track when it comes to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go to our first question. This mother sounded like she was really having a tough time, and I'll read it because I can hear, even in how she wrote her question, she sounded like she was at her wit's end. So I'll go ahead and read it. It says, help. Every school year, I feel like I am hanging on by a thread. I feel on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I can never get in front of everything that needs to be done. I have 3 children, one 14-year-old and 2 younger children, ages 6 and 7. The house is a mess. Homework time is stressful, and I am tired and frustrated all the time. Over the summer, I literally allow them to sit around and vegetate because I don't want stress year round and get them to do anything. I am a single mom, no husband to help. Now school is getting ready to start and I am not ready. I need structure. Help. What would you say to this mom, Nicole?
When I read that, just like you said, I sensed that urgency, and I really believe that, it's not too late. One thing that I would definitely recommend is, she said, in terms of the house being a mess, with a 14-year-old who's present, who can actually kind of take the lead in a way and helping the younger two get it together, I think that she should actually give charge in a way to the 14-year-old to say, hey, I really need you to partner with me on this. Have some type of incentive, maybe a reward system for helping her as well as the younger to complete whatever they can do. And kids as young as age 2 can do things around the house. I know when we grew up, we were expected to do things. And I don't know what happened. When we all became parents, for some reason, it was that the kids are too young now to really participate. But there are little things that her 6 and 7-year-old can do around the house, putting away dishes after dinner, wiping down countertops, unloading dishwashers, loading the washing machine. These are things that they are able to do at this age. So if she can somehow get them involved, create an incentive system for them to do so, these are all age-appropriate tasks that they can definitely complete to help out. And when it comes to homework time, I understand that homework time can be stressful. One thing that she can do is actually set aside a workspace or just an area, even if it's just the kitchen table where, an area that they can have that open space to get the work done. My kids like to eat when they do homework, so a dry snack. It kind of it's something that kind of makes them look forward to actually getting the homework done, is they can sit around the table with a light snack right before dinner and get the homework done. I definitely see that she says she has no one to help, but by partnering with her 14-year-old, I think that they can work together to actually help rally the troops and get it done as a family.
That's actually a great suggestion. I think sometimes we look at them as kids and we don't allow them to take on the responsibility that is age appropriate, of course, but take on the responsibility of assisting around the house. I know when just a quick story. I remember when our girls were young, I think I had chore charts for them when my eldest was 24 months. She was 2 years old. And just with little things, and they understand that, okay, this is my responsibility, and they take pride in it. And so they're going to make sure that they get it done, And so just the little thing of picking up your bowl off the table after you've eaten and bringing it to mommy at the sink, Things like that helps them know that there's an expectation from them, even as a child in the house, that they're going to contribute to things that need to happen in the house. And so when that happens, I believe that does something to their psyche, in that they take ownership over the home and the betterment of the home, to make sure that, they respect their home, because it's their home and they are too taking care of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And to piggyback on that, I think sometimes we get caught up on the way it's done rather than it is done. And I know some of us are perfectionists.
Yes.
This idea that, the kids can't do it the way exactly how I would do it.
Right.
And then you end up becoming a slave in their home, because if it's not done exactly the way you think it should be done, then you're just going to do it. You throw your hands up, you walk away.
Yes.
and they're sitting around and you're doing everything. And I think we need to, like you said, allow them to take ownership of the home. They're learning to take pride in what they have. And it might not be done perfectly at first, but I think over time, once we get them started on these routines, they will perfect it.
Yes, that's an excellent point. The whole perfectionist thing, wanting something done how you want it done, when you want it done, can really kill the motivation for someone else to help and someone else to have their hand on it. I remember when the girls were younger, a friend of mine, he's a teacher. He said, you need to let them do. And I was like, but she's not going to do it like this. And he was like, it's okay. You want her to help. And that for me as a young parent was an awesome lesson that he taught me, in that, because he's a teacher, he works with children, and he realized, he was like, so what if she doesn't do it the way that you think it should be done? So what? Just let it go. It's not a big deal, but she's helping. And you're building in her the pride in her surroundings. So just let her do it. That was an awesome lesson that I learned as a young parent. And I think that what you just highlighted there also speaks to that, and really should be written down as a point, when our kids are attempting to help or attempting to do, just let them do, and don't go behind them and fix it. Just, if it's not falling, if it's not going to break, if it's not going to trip somebody up, Or, if it's not a hazard, don't go behind them and fix it because they didn't put it exactly where you think it should be. But that's a great point, Nicole. Great point. Our second question is, I am a mixture of emotions regarding having my children, ages 5 and 6, do chores and not do chores. My husband feels that they are kids, so they don't need the responsibility, and I have to handle the brunt of the housework myself. I think they should be doing something around the house. I clean their rooms and bathroom. They do nothing. I'll let you go ahead.
See, my kids are exactly that age, the 5 and the 6.
Yes.
And I kind of feel how she feels sometimes that, I want more help because I do give them things to do and they have their levels of ability. But that shouldn't deter, I think that shouldn't deter us as parents from placing responsibility on our kids because we feel like they don't have that level of responsibility yet. We have to give them responsibility in order for them to understand responsibility and to act on it. Right. I feel as if the more we delay giving our kids chores or responsibilities around the house, the longer it will take for them to jump on board and be a part of it. Like, we are becoming who we will become. You know, we have to start at a certain point.
Yes.
So to this mom, I would definitely say find age-appropriate things that her kids can do to allow them to build that responsibility.
Right.
And it's not going to be something that's going to be consuming their entire evening. It's going to be things that they will be able to accomplish and that they will gain a sense of self-confidence because they can do it and they can help. So I feel like she's actually helping them create confidence and to actually help them gain independence by just giving them something that they can do that is age appropriate. So she should definitely go forward. If she's feeling like they can do more than likely they can actually do more around the house.
Yeah, and someone in the chat room asked, is he doing those chores then? It didn't sound like he was. It sounded like she was taking the majority of the work herself. The mom was taking a majority of the work, and he had the position that the kids shouldn't have to do it. So it didn't sound like the husband was pitching in with those chores at least. I think that it's important because I know of parents who, in teenage years of their kids, they clean the teenagers' rooms, and I'm not clear on what that's about. Because clearly you are a teenager and there's no other way for me to say that. I don't know. Really, there's no other way for me to say it. But you're clearly getting ready to leave the house. So we have to think about the adults that we are creating. So unless your child is going to leave your home and have someone who will keep home for them. And I'm not talking about a spouse. I'm not talking about a spouse. I'm talking about someone who is hired to clean up after them. I think that this parenting this parenting style creates a void for that child, and it doesn't serve them well in terms of being an adult and taking responsibility for things that if you leave that there, then you should pick it up. Going through life where someone else is going to pick up behind you is not realistic. I don't unless you have it like that. Unless you have someone who can come behind you and pick up. But teenager is a bit much because they're almost out of your house. And when they go to college and you're not there to clean up behind them and their roommate is there, I mean, what type of conditions would they be what type of conditions would they be living in? I don't understand that. I don't understand it. But the need to create a sense of pride in your surroundings, in your child's surroundings, I think is imperative for parents to always have that in the back of their mind, that they are training children to become adults, and the psyche behind someone is going to do it for me spills over into so many other things that could possibly hinder the child's ability to be a constructive adult and a constructive citizen. It spills over into so many things. You have any thoughts on that, Nicole?
Yeah, I would definitely totally agree. And I feel like the problems that we have now with some of the young people that we know, we like to tag them as millennials. So this would be,
Yeah.
the generation of kids that are entitled, generation of kids who are not committed, that don't have work ethic. These are the things that we are allowing to continue on by not expecting anything from our children, by assuming that they are eventually going to get it. It's just going to magically click one day, but we have to start now. And I feel like exactly what you said. If no one's picking up after you, I would like to believe that they will be successful enough that they can hire help continuously throughout their life. But at the same time, you got to be able to sell. And I kind of understand her plight in that she's kind of battling with her husband. So this is a family conversation that they need to have together, and to decide what it is that they want for their kids and how to start to build that infrastructure from now, and that's in a way that they can both agree on for the kids' benefit.
Yeah, definitely has to be an internal dialogue with the husband and the wife. But for the mom, there are several age appropriate chore charts available online that start as young as 18 months. The minute a child can walk and clasp with their little hands, they can pick something up and walk it over to where they need to be. 18 months, and that's simple little age appropriate things. And so there are a lot of studies that have been done. There's a lot of materials out there that speak to the benefit of having kids participate in chores from a young age. And the reason why you start at a young age is so you don't have to fight them when they're older to all of a sudden now try to pick up after themselves. You don't have to fight them. So it becomes a part of their psyche, their training, 18 months old, 2 years old, 3 years old, to just pick up after themselves, as I saw in the chat room, or else they'll become the entitled, lazy person, and you may not have any grandkids because ain't nobody gonna be trying to work with that. I mean, really, But yeah, I definitely think, Mom, have that conversation about the benefits with your husband. And just give them small things, small things to do. Pull up those age appropriate chore charts that are online and watch how they really start to take advantage of what they're supposed to do. Then they start thinking of, oh, well, let me do this and let me do that, because now they're looking at their surroundings as theirs. And so now they're taking pride in it. So I hope that really works out for you as well. For the mom in that particular situation. So I wanted to shift gears a little bit, Nicole, and we're going to open up the phone lines. You guys can call in if you have any questions for me or Nicole. The number is 215-383-5846. The number has not changed. It is still 215-383-5846. If you have any questions, you can definitely dial in and speak to me and Nicole, and we can try our best to help with any situation that you may have. If you want to speak with us when you call in, if you want to speak, just press 1, and I'll get an indicator here in the studio that you want to talk, and I'll bring you on live. But let's switch a little bit, Nicole. Let's switch gears a little bit. What I have found a challenge for myself is how we enter the house after we arrive. So let me explain what that means, okay? So I always envision, you walk in the house, school bags go here, shoes don't come in the house, so they go over here. Your folders for the day go here. You go and you wash your hands, wash your face, get all the dirt and crud from the day off, and then you come back, and then we start our routine, right? I have never really been in the ideal situation where the structure of my house allowed for that, where we had the ability to have space for school bags and shoes and and stuff like that. And I have seen the results of that, in that shoes end up wherever. School bags are on chairs that have been on the floor all day. Now, forgive me, I'm slightly OCD. So a school bag a school bag that has been on the floor of a school classroom should never touch my chair. You know what I mean? So the
Amen.
yes, thank you. So the school bag that is on the chair is a problem for mommy, okay? So we should make sure that the school bags are either hanging or they're on the floor, okay? And so I've never had a house that can accommodate that flow, that flow of we are now home and this is what's supposed to happen. But I think that sets the tone for the evening, though. I mean, I think in my yes, right. So in my mind, if I'm walking in and I'm placing things that I know exactly where things need to go, I am already in the mindset of I'm purposed for this evening, as opposed to just haphazardly walking through. And so I would challenge those who are listening to just pay attention to how they actually walk in to their home when they're getting ready to start their routine for the day. Anything that takes you off routine, you get a phone call, this and that, whatever, can mess up your evening, and it can really send you left field when you should be centered, you know? So Nicole, what are some tips that you have when it comes to that type of, house entry? Just how does that work? I see all these things on Pinterest where kids hang up their bag and it looks
so many things. Sorry, I cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
So many pictures on Pinterest get inspiration, and if you have a small entryway, just simply getting some hooks and hanging them there, and getting like one of those tiered shoe organizers right at the door, so the kids know that they can hook their things up. What I did is I have my entryway is non-existent. It's like we live in a townhome. You walk in, there's like 3 feet, and then steps that we do the living room.
Okay.
So we had a closet there. What we did was we took the door off the closet and we made it like a nook. So now the boys have a place, because they're short and they can't hang up their jackets. So we put hooks in there so they can hang their bags, hang up their jacket, and put their shoes underneath that. And like you said, the germs that can possibly travel into your home by not having designated spaces for those things is just ridiculous when you think about it. And another thing that we keep in mind is always having our kids wash their hands as soon as they get home. Like once they take off their shoes, hang up their stuff, wash your hands. It's ridiculous how illness can just spread by simply not washing your hands when they immediately get home. But using any space that you have a bare wall, you have 2 feet of space, a hook, and a designated area for their shoes, and you're good to go.
Yes. I was just I just saw in the chat room where someone said that they read somewhere. Who said it? Oh, it was my husband Al. Al said that he read it. He probably heard this from me. If you have not established certain practices in your child by a certain age, it is almost impossible to do so after that age. And actually, there is a book that I was reading when our kids were younger, called The First 7 Years by, oh my goodness, what was the last name on it? I can't remember the last name, but The First 7 Years. And I'll put it up on my, I found it. Kay Kuzma. First 7 Years. It tells you that the values that you instill in your children should happen within the first 7 years, because that is when you have programmed that child to respond and to approach life in a certain way. After that, it is more difficult, and it's a great read. I don't know. I like books, so it's a great read. The First 7 Years: Parenting with Strong Values and a Gentle Touch, and so it tells you how to make sure that that your children receive what they need, so that they can grow into this adult that will then turn around and train another generation as well. Are you aware of anything like that, Nicole?
Um, that one is a really good book, and see, now I can't even. I had it on my bedside table for the longest while. But when we were talking about routine charts and age-appropriate charts, Maria Montessori,
Yes.
the creator of Montessori education, she's a big proponent on fostering independence from, like, 18 months and up. And when you go online, definitely look up some of her teaching, because her way of teaching was that when you foster independence, you make it into something that it becomes ingrained, and it also translated into them learning. So by becoming independent as a person, they can now teach themselves concepts in life, and that starts from you giving them that independence at an early age. So I highly recommend looking up Maria Montessori's concepts and principles on how to educate children as well.
Yes, Maria Montessori, excellent, excellent resource. She even has the chore charts, the age-appropriate chore charts that I mentioned as well. Excellent resource for sure, Maria Montessori. And that is where the Montessori curriculum is based off of, which is because our kids were Montessori prior to moving to DC, which really teaches children how to be responsible for their stuff, And so when they were at a very young age, because they started at 18 months, we saw the cycle of, okay, I pick this up, I play with it. Now it is not finished until I go and put it back, exactly where it was. So yeah, Maria Montessori is an absolute awesome resource. I think that a lot of the stress that happens with parents, not just moms, but parents. I think a lot of times it's mostly moms, because we handle more so the home management aspect. But I think a lot of our stress comes from the idea of what we want our houses to look like, how we want our houses to run. And when you're dealing with kids, it's not always that easy. They are going to do what they are going to do. And so even in the midst of, all these charts and stuff, the list that I showed you guys earlier that I update every school year, it's important to know that even though you have this list, they may not get to it. People come to my house and they're like, do they do that every night? And at first I was like, okay, you guys got to check it off as you go, check it off, because I'm a list person. Let's go check it off, But now it's kind of like, well, it's their guide. They know what needs to be done. And so however they work their time, it teaches them time management. It teaches them that, okay, I need to get this done. If this took maybe 10 minutes too long, then either I don't get to do this other thing, or I remove 10 minutes from another activity. So it's okay. It's okay to have the goal of, my household has to run this way, or I need this to happen, and all of that. But also kind of be a little free with it, understanding that you're dealing with kids, and you don't want to stress them out. You don't want them to have a negative experience when it comes to structure, because then they'll totally rebel from it when they get older. You want them to see the joy and freedom that structure brings, because once you're able to account, it's same thing with financial issues. Once you're able to account for your dollars, or once you're able to account for your time, then you realize how much more time, how much more money you have to apply to other things. And it's the same exact concept here. I'm seeing Miss Nadej in the chat. Nadej, I'm gonna make you call in, Nadej, because you are another lady that I absolutely look up to when it comes to organization. But one thing Nadej said in the chat room is it takes 30 days to form a habit. Get their mindset right early. If that opportunity was missed, do it for 30 days and watch it work. So even if you miss an opportunity with a child, if you stick to a 30-day recurring cycle of that thing, form that habit, reform that habit, so it's not too late. That's what I'm understanding my sister saying. That it's not too late. Thank you so much for that, Nadej. Nadej, I need you to call in because I got 13 more minutes, but I want to hear from you because Nadej as well is another person who is very good with children and works within a structure. Yes, works within a structure, gives them structure, but still allows them to be children. And the balance of that is so awesome when you see it work. It's so awesome. And so as we're here talking about home organization and making sure that you're managing your home, managing your time appropriately, we want to make sure that she's there. We want to make sure that we stress also that we have to allow kids to be kids while giving them the parameters to work and be successful. Nadej, good evening, Nadej.
Hello. How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just came from working out.
Nice.
Ready to give you guys the business now. Hey, Dad. Hey, Nicole. How are you, honey? I'm good.
Thank you so much for calling in. So we've been talking a little bit about bringing structure with children, the importance of it, and then as it relates back to now having an organized home as we prepare for school and try not to be overwhelmed. Can you give us some nuggets, some tidbits on what you've learned through your experience with working with your kids and other people's kids as well?
Absolutely. Well, as I posted already about the 30 days, I found that the younger they are when you start establishing those habits, the easier it is to explain to them why it's important once they get older. Like, for example, my son, I always tell him, you got to take your shoes off when you come into the house. He doesn't always agree with the concept. He doesn't see the importance or the value in it. However, as he got older, he started saying, Mommy, we stepped in such and such today. We shouldn't drag that in the house. So because that habit was set earlier on, he understood the value of it once he got a little bit older.
Awesome.
And the same thing was like even with hygiene, the importance of taking a shower. He smelled himself one day. He was like, oh, Mommy, that's why we take showers every day, right? It's a good idea. It's a good thing to do. So, just establishing it early, being able to explain to them why those systems are in place, especially with the starting of school, you want to make sure that they have those good habits so that it transfers into the classroom. Making sure their homework is in their book bag, making sure they complete their homework, those kind of things. That's what helps them to be less stressed because everything is set in order. It also helps you as a parent not to be stressed, getting upset because things are misplaced, being upset because things are not done. It also helps you as a parent to be more at peace and to have your, to have your sanity, especially if you're OCD like me. I'm a little OCD, so those things are important.
Yeah, we had the OCD conversation a little earlier, so we definitely
right.
Yes, we definitely relate.
The thing with OCD, they can become stressful. Like for me, if I see a book bag on the bed, that freaks me out. Like it was on the floor.
Yes.
Why is it on your bed?
Yeah.
So, I have to remind myself not to bark and not to yell and scream.
Yeah.
But just to be able to explain why we don't put the book bag on the bed. Just those simple things.
Right.
I'll have nightmares about that, but just simple things like that to help the children not to shy away or to not want to do those things. Because if you bring a negative light to it, the less likely they are to keep those habits when they become older.
Right.
And it's really good what you said, Dej, about the logic behind it is allowing them to understand the purpose why we do these things. It's not just to be authoritarian and be like, we do it this way because I said so.
Right.
But when he started to realize that, this is what's best for me, this is what's best for my family. So, I understand that. When they get that logic behind it, it makes a huge difference. And you can still allow them to have that freedom to enjoy doing these things without feeling like they're getting sparks dad or harass to do it over and over again.
Right.
Absolutely.
So how do we, because we're talking a lot about younger kids at this point. What type of encouragement? Let's say there's been a parent who has been overwhelmed and who kind of just threw their hands up and like whatever, and they're now reaping the benefits of that approach with teenagers. What do we now say to a parent who is trying to some way rein in a teenager whose habits are, questionable?
I think the greatest disservice that a parent can do or establish with a child is that responsibility is not important.
Yeah.
Because once they get out into the workforce, once they get out into school or into good school, well, that's another topic anyways. But once they get out into the workforce, they're going to realize the importance of responsibility and having good habits and having value.
Right.
I would never put a parent down because that's not established in their home, because it depends on how they were raised, how they, how they grew up. To be very, very honest, I didn't grow up like that. I didn't grow up with structure. I didn't grow up with, that's just something that I had to figure out on my own. And then I also had like some powerful women around me, some powerful influences around me that helped me to, to get my house in order. So I think that, having a support system to help you to gauge, and a village, really, that you can look to also help rear our children. That's what's important. And I know a lot of people that they don't want other people involved in how they raise their children. It's not always a bad thing.
No.
Because I know if I didn't have that, I would not have structure in my house. So with teenagers, I know it sounds bad, but establishing consequences. Because in the real world, there's consequences when there's no structure.
Yeah.
Systems fail, finances fail, there's bankruptcy, foreclosure.
Yeah.
When there's no structure, when there's no responsibility, bad things happen.
Yeah.
So, there needs to be some consequences established attached to the responsibility of keeping their home, keeping their bodies, keeping their, keeping what's their responsibility, keeping that in line and in check.
Right. And I think that's
so true. And then we just spoke about in times like too. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Nicole. That's fine.
Oh, I was saying that we were just talking about that sense of entitlement that comes about when we don't teach them that their contribution is necessary, that we need you to be a part of the team, and how that has affected our society overall. When we talk about a certain generation of kids who are lazy and then they're not team players, and they can't work with other people in the workforce, and they're having a hard time adjusting to life, even when they're 30. It's because we haven't, in a way, sometimes we get kind of complacent in teaching them, look, it's important for you to be a part of this whole system. Like, this family is a system, and we need you to function with us so that you can do better in life and that we can all do better in life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to raise responsible members of society.
Yes.
I mean, because if you want your kids to have good habits, have value, have good structure, as a parent, you're going to have to invest some time and some effort into getting that done. And I think a lot of times, just the way that our society is right now, mom is working, dad is working. Sometimes you see your kids for maybe 2 hours in the day.
Right.
It's hard to set up systems. It's hard to get that done. But honestly, during the summertime, when things are when things die down a bit, that's the best time to try to impose those things, so that when the academic year comes, the flow is easier, and you're less stressed, and the kids are less stressed as well. So I'd say, like, even in my household, 2 weeks before school starts, we're already in our system. I know it sounds crazy, and it's like, it's still summertime, still vacation, but no, like, if you're trying to get that done the day before school starts, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point, because we have to make sure that we responsibly transition them now back to the structure. And then the other point that you said, Nadej, was the summer months when there aren't any academic requirements being placed on them. The summer months would be a good time to establish a lot of maybe what you lose during the academic year because of lack of time as a parent. Now then would be a good time to instill some of those added values that you may not have the time allotted to focus on during the academic year. I think that's a great point as well.
Right.
That's a great point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think at the end of the day, because while I was preparing for this show, I saw that there appears to be a lot of anxiety from some people when school starts, and it could be just the demands of what a school year the demands that can be placed on the family, and so that, and recognizing the individuals that walk up to me and say, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? How are you able to even get out the house, have 3 heads of hair combed, not even counting your own, and still look like you want to smile at folk when you get to where you're going, and so I recognizing that there are people struggling with it, just being able to make it happen, make it successful, but the bottom line is, even if you mess up one day, even if I'm getting you ready, I'm staying home because I don't feel like getting myself ready today, or I don't feel like showing up. Now that's okay. That's just one day. Just the next day, just get up and say, okay, I had my day. Now I need to get back into it, because that's life, daily in and out. That is life. And you don't want to take the
Absolutely.
You don't want to take the position of just kind of letting it happen, because as Nadej was talking about, and I call what she was saying intentional parenting, in that you intentionally parent your child, you intentionally create structure, you intentionally create organization around them, because they thrive and they are secure in that consistency. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that for them, you are then instilling in them, and you are preparing them for a life of confidence and success. And so I don't know a parent that doesn't want their child to be successful. So just take it a day at a time. If it's just a matter of establishing a little space in your home, put your book bags here and start with that structure a little at a time. Start retraining their brain to understand that there is structure in life. You don't just walk through undisciplined. There is discipline and there is structure in life. And it is to your benefit that you also establish these habits. Because if not, once you leave my house, the people that will make you establish those habits won't love you. So it's important
I heard that.
Yeah, so it's important to establish that, even if it's a little bit, one day at a time, establish that structure. And I encourage you to find resources online. I encourage you to, do searches, do Pinterest searches. I do that all the time. For ways to organize certain spaces, ways to organize school supplies, ways to organize the many papers that come home from school. I mean, that's real talk. Ways to do that so that it is not creating a stressful and cluttered home environment. So if you're not there yet, doesn't matter. You can start tomorrow. It's okay. And just do so bit by bit, and get to your online resources. If you know me, if you know Nicole, if you know Nadej, I know I can speak for myself, and they would be willing as well, I'm sure, to just give you tips to help you with your organization. But definitely you can start now. And school is starting next week for some of us. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm saying that, and I'll soon believe that. But school is starting next week, and I think that, just bit by bit, I'll get there, and I believe that you will as well. So this evening, our time is up. Man, our time is up. Nicole and Nadej, I appreciate your time this evening. I wish everyone back to school success to your kids. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, just back up for a minute, take a few breaths, do whatever you need to do to recenter yourself, to go back and be a whole individual for your family, for your kids, for yourself, But this year will be a successful one for all of our children. I believe it. And we can help them by starting on the right foot. And that is with the little things that we decide to do in our homes to make sure that they are environments of learning and thriving. All right. I thank you all so much for joining. I have an inspirational video that I'll play now. But this will be available on rebroadcast tomorrow on the website and on my YouTube channel. I thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Nadej, for your tips. I wish you ladies all the best as well for this upcoming school year with your families.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. Until next time, next month, we are back. First Mondays with LaLa in September. Yeah. First Mondays with LaLa. Make sure to pay attention to what the topic will be. Send in any questions. Send in any topics that you have to Landy, LANDI, at lalaspeaks.com. And let's do this life and let's do it right. All right. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
My grandmother's name is Estelle Marie Talley, and she's not here tonight, and this is going to be the toughest part, but she was my first acting teacher. She told me, stand up straight, put your shoulders back, act like you got some sense. We would go places and I would wild out. And she says, act like you've been somewhere. And then when I would act a fool, she would beat me. She would whoop me. And she could get an Oscar for the way she whooped me because she was great at it. And after she whipped me, she would talk to me and tell me why she whipped me. Said, I want you to be a Southern gentleman. And she still talks to me now. Only now she talks to me in my dreams. And I can't wait to go to sleep tonight because we got a lot to talk about. I love you.
Now that's
Speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity. LaLa, speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity.
every first Monday at 9 p.m. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't want to talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's deep. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak.
I am a life coach. I am a motivational speaker. I am a wife and a mother and a career woman. I'm all those things. Why? Because I can. LaLa Speaks is about owning who you are. LaLa Speaks is about loving who you are. LaLa Speaks is about embracing who you are and allowing all those things to move you forward towards action.
Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't want to talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's
Speak
deep.
to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Lend your gifts to help restore unity. LaLa, speak to the masses, let them hear what you think. To the thirsty, let your words be a drink. LaLa, speak to them with the voice of community. Ninja gets to help restore unity.
Every first Monday at 9 p.m. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. And even if I get frustrated and I don't want to talk to the Lord, you know what? He still speaks. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak. She talking about what's right in the world and what goes wrong to make your spirit unfurl. Now that's deep. Every time I wake in the morning, I think even if my voice couldn't be heard, I still speak. So now I'm just riding around in my Jeep, but I'm still tuned in to hear LaLa speak.
I am a life coach. I am a motivational speaker. I am a wife and a mother and a career woman. I'm all those things. Why? Because I can. LaLa Speaks is about owning who you are. LaLa Speaks